All right. We are live. We are live. Oh, get comfortable. Give it a minute. All right, we got one body. One body. Ah, that's funny, actually. Some peeps are telling me that Clark's telling me that he can't see me on YouTube, that the link didn't pop up or whatnot. I checked it on my end. Hey, Harold. Harold's got it on YouTube. All right. Thank you, Harold. I am interstatal. Let's turn on the studio lights. Lighten up the atmosphere a little bit. Let the light come through. There you go. Now I'm a little bit more live. Wahoo! All right, let's get into this. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Angie's Angles. We are 2 weeks shy of the big 6-0 trip to the Big Easy. That's called the Big Easy, New Orleans, right? Yes, so it is January the 30th in the year of my Lord, 2025, and that's just for you, Lonnie. Appreciate that. So we're going to stick with the hot topic of the week, of the month, of the whatever. Hey, Nick, what's going on? Let's put you on the big screen, Nick. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Let's bring this Pete Alonso nonsense to an end, please. Also, I'm hearing we have trade interest in one, Mr. Dylan Cease. From your lips to God's ears, Nick. Dylan Cease would be an amazing finality minus Pete Alonso to the revamping of our Met lineup, our pitching rotation. We just signed Ryan Stanek to a 1-year deal for a couple mil. Very happy with that. I'm very happy with the Jesse Winker signing and the Ryan Stanek signing. I'm going to tell you why. Harold, pipe down, back down, up there in Michigan land. Harold says the Cubs are working on Cease as well. I got news for you. You got Presley, you got Tucker. Your Cubbies are going to be a force to reckon with, Harold. I assure you this much. So I said I like the Winker signing and the Stanek signing. And let me tell you why. Both those guys have chutzpah. And for my Jewish friends out there, you all know what chutzpah is. It's huevos. It's attitude. It's no nonsense. Hard baseball players. They're hard-nosed guys. Stanek and Winker bring character to this team, and it is something that we need desperately. Okay? Last year until we went on this hot streak, I just got tired day after day after day. It was like passe. It was like just meeting around with a couple friends. All right, let's go out and have dinner. Once Winker signed and once Stanek came on, we had fire. We had fire, and they bring fire to the table. So I really do think that those two signings are paramount for the structure and the character of our team. Now, some of you know that are Met fans. Hey, what's going on, Clark? Thanks. I'm glad you made it, brother. Thank you very much, Clark. I am duo interstatal. So we had Fan Fest at Citi Field this past weekend. And we had David Stearns and we had Steve Cohen speak directly to the Pete Alonso, Scott Boras negotiations. Hey, Harold, how are you? Harold, let's put you on the big screen, Harold. Harold said he read a post today where after Alonso signs, he's going to fire Boras. Thank you, Harold, for that, actually. You know, Pete's got to fire himself. Pete's previous agent got him a very good deal. 7 years, $158 million. It would have locked Pete up with the Mets. It would have made Pete, Alonso, and family very, very wealthy. But Pete bet on himself. He allowed Boras to whisper in his ear like Boras does. But as we said ad nauseum on Angie's Angles, Boras' track record the last 2-3 years has been subpar. How many guys sat out last year until midseason, till late in the season, till May, June? Montgomery, Martinez, to name a few. Sure, he got Soto his contract, but as much as I disagree with the price tag and the luxury suites and taking care of Mama Soto, I really feel that Steve Cohen wanted Juan Soto to be that generational player. Now, Juan Soto's young, 26 years old. Even if we have him for a solid 5, 6, 7 years, that's prime Soto years that he's going to be a Met. So I suppose I can't argue the aggressiveness to sign Juan Soto and throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Juan Soto. I do think that the Mets are at a spot financially where they're being a little bit more fiscally responsible, thus the troubles of signing one Pete Alonso. Now you could say, if you're Pete Alonso, I look at Brandon Nimmo's contract. He got an 8-year deal at $20 million a year. So the Mets are telling Pete, we'll offer you $25 million. And you're going to tell me that Pete's worth $5 more million a year than Brandon Nimmo, who hasn't played a complete season in his life, who sits out purposely spring training games to save his legs? And you're going to give this guy an 8-year contract at $20 million? When there were two things, and we've talked again on Angie's Angles ad nauseum, that he's not a center fielder and not a leadoff hitter. It's been proven. It's been vetted. It's been the New York Mets have proven me to be this baseball savant when I recognize that Brandon Nimmo was neither one of those two things that they paid him to be. He's got no arm. He's got zero arm. So you put him in left field. It's not a leadoff hitter. You pull him out a leadoff hitter and you put Lindor there, and then the magic began. But Brandon Nimmo is still getting $20 million a year for the next 6 years. I think he's 2 years into that contract. So if I'm Pete Alonso, I'm like, shoo, you're going to give him $180. Holy crap. And you offered me $7,158. Think about it. $7,158, $8,160. A couple more million than you're offering Nimmo. And Pete brings that power bat to the lineup. Plus, if Pete remains a Met, he's gonna squash every power number known to mankind within the New York Mets organization from day one. He's 26 home runs off of Strawberry, I believe it is. Strawberry holds the record for most home runs as a Met. Pete Alonso, halfway, 3/4 through the season, will be the new home run leader if he's a Met. I think, hey, Mark Brooks, that's pretty funny. Put you on the big screen. I'm tired of waiting for the decision. It reminds me of Dallas. Who shot JR? That's a very good analogy there, Mark Brooks. My brother from another. Mark Brooks, bring it in, making me try interstatal. That's very funny, Mr. Brooks. So let me give you some of Cohen's quotes from the Fan Fest. This is quote from Steve Cohen. We made a significant offer to Pete. I don't like the structures that are being presented back to us. It's highly asymmetric against us, and I feel strong about it. I will never say no. You'll never know what could happen. He also said, personally, this has been an exhausting negotiation. Soto was tough. This is worse. Carmen, what's going on, my friend from Boston? The Mets should be paying me to be the assistant GM. You're not kidding there, Mr. Carmen. I appreciate that input. Carmen, you're making me quadruple interstatal. I'm still battling this cough, folks. So I apologize for the incessant coughing. I just can't wait for that warm weather to come and get me. So Pete Alonso listened to Scott Boras. I'm gonna present you the pot at the end of the goal, Pete. At the end of the rainbow, the gold pot at the end of the rainbow. Just stick with me. So he fired his longtime agent, who got Pete the highest arbitration number ever as a first baseman, as a player. The Mets paid Pete well throughout his arbitration years. And I do believe that Pete, in his heart of hearts, wants to be a Met. Now, what are we? January 31st. We're, in essence, 13 to 14 days away from pitchers and catchers. This has to be resolved. This has to be resolved before pitchers and catchers report. And the fact that we're hearing rumors here and there about the Angels, about the Blue Jays. There was a moment where the Skankies feigned some interest in Pete Alonso until they signed Goldschmidt. Oh, breaking news, not so breaking. Nick Troiano and Harold kind enough to, and Harold Atkins was very nice to alert me to it. Although I'm tuned in and I'm dialed in that Max Scherzer signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, Kevin Elliott, I'm going to present you something. Kevin Elliott brought some attention to me. Where did Roger Clemens go when he was done with the Yankees? To the Blue Jays. Where did Andy Pettitte go when he's done with the Skankies? To Texas. Where did Max Scherzer and Verlander go when they were done playing? They went to Texas. Where did Max Scherzer go to now? He went to Toronto. And the thing that he brought to my attention is there's two things. I'm not alleging. It's just quite the coincidence. Both Mexico and Canada, steroids are legal. And it's been stated by Roger Clemens that all he had to do was walk down the block and get some steroids. So it's kind of interesting that Texas and Blue Jays have been the homes of some known steroid guys. Pettitte, Clemens. I'm not going to allude that Scherzer and Verlander took steroids. I'm not saying that, but it's kind of an identical track that they took, right? So Harold, that's a great quote, and I love it, putting on the big screen. Harold says, I'm not even a Mets fan, and I'm tired of the drama. You know, can you just imagine New York fan base? And as my thumbnail said, you know, this whole thing is driving us nuts. The fan base, a majority of the fan base wants Pete Alonso back. I want Pete Alonso back because I really do think it really makes our lineup a powerhouse. Lindor, whoever you put second, you could put Nimmo second. You could put McNeil second. Soto third. Alonso fourth. Vientos fifth. Alvarez sixth. Marte, who am I missing? Marte, Alvarez. Or did I say Alvarez already? Oh, Marte or Nimmo. Marte, Nimmo or McNeil, whoever doesn't bat second. And then you got your DH, whoever that's going to be, right? Well, Marte's your DH. Missing a position. So anyway, It's a scary lineup, Harold, without a doubt. And plus, with the bullpen that we just uh, um, reconstructed, I'm very happy going into the 2025 season being a New York Met fan. I think, and then if Nick's, prayers to God come true, and we land the Dylan Cease, holy Hannah. Wow. And also breaking news for the Eric Schusters of the universe. Trevor Bauer re-signed with the Japanese team. So Trevor Bauer's horse has gone. It's ridden off into the sunset. I don't think you'll ever see Trevor Bauer in the States again playing for a Major League Baseball team. It's unfortunate what happened with Trevor Bauer. I get both sides of the argument. I could argue for and against those arguments. But this whole Pete Alonso drama has got to stop. Either Mr. Cohen needs to make a determination with David Stearns and says, Pete, we tried. Good luck to you. God bless. You're always welcome to come back and visit. But we got to move on. The problem is, that's funny, Harold. The problem is Pete hasn't signed. And that speaks volumes that nobody's offering Pete the money that Pete feels he needs or wants, or even Boras thinks he deserves. I do think the Mets are being a little penny pinching. I do. Pete's a homegrown Met. He's been a Met. If it wasn't for that home run in Milwaukee, we made the playoffs, but we didn't get to almost one game before the World Series, or one series before the World Series. Pete brings value to the table. I don't care what my friend Kevin Elliott says. Pete brings a lot to the table. And I do think with Soto getting all the attention, I think the pressure is going to be that scaled down for Pete Alonso. And I don't think Pete can handle the pressure as being the main focal point. I don't think he's the spotlight type of guy. I think Pete knows how to play the game. I think Pete knows how to hit the home runs. I think his power numbers were diminished because, look at our lineup in the beginning of the season. Nobody was doing anything. And he was trying to put the team on his back. He just couldn't do it, a la Aaron Judge in his walk year. So, right, Harold, I don't think Pete should have to offer the Mets a hometown discount either. I agree with that. If you could finagle a 4-year 120, it's $30 million a year. Give him an opt-out after years 2 and 3. I don't care. Because if he opts out, that means he's done great for us in years 1 and 2. Because then his value will increase, but we got those 2 years of value of Pete Alonso. And we're in it now. We expect to be in the World Series in the next, 2025, 2026 with the team that we have built. We don't expect to compete in 5 years using the timetable of giving him a 4 or 5 year deal. Officer Lennon, are you on the road yet, Officer Lennon? Safe travels. Officer Lennon's going to be moving down to Delaware, so he'll make me interstatal when he logs in from Delaware. That's not happening for a little time, though. We got still some more time with Officer Lennon in New York. But this whole he said negotiation with Boras and Lindor just came out recently lending verbal and public support for Pete, that he wants him back on the team. And I do think that they told Soto, don't worry, you're going to be protected in the lineup. And the funny thing is, Pete's not the only big star out there. Bregman's not signed either. And then there's conversation that he might go back to Houston. So what's going on with the owners? Are the owners getting wiser and more penny wise? Are they becoming penny wise? Are they looking at their numbers? Are they saying that, this is ridiculous, even though the Dodgers I mean, I got to be honest. If if Shoeless Joe Jackson came out of the cornfields, the Dodgers would sign him to a lifetime contract. I mean, the Dodgers' money is just ridiculous. But they're playing within the rules. A la George Steinbrenner back in the day, playing within the rules. Steve Cohen could easily fold and say, okay, Pete, here's your 8-year, $200 million contract. Thank you very much. He could do that. He's got the money to do that. But with David Stearns at the helm, counting the beans, and they calculated Pete's WAR, which I hate, or Pete's production, which, See, I argue all day. I argue with Kevin Elliott all day that the home run is not an important figure or stat. I disagree. I think the home run is very, very important. I think it's the power threat that's more important than the actual outcome. I think you pitch a home run hitter a lot differently than you do perhaps a singles hitter. Because a single ain't going to kill you, but the home run will. So I do think that the home run stat and the power is very necessary. Nick, you've been active tonight. I appreciate you. And I don't throw – now, John Heyman is so far up Boris's ass that he tickles his tonsils. But, again, Nick's posting, and I'll read it. According to John Heyman, Cincinnati Reds are a dark horse to sign Pete Alonso. I don't buy that. I don't buy that either, Nick. I mean, if Pete – now, Cincinnati's a bandbox, so maybe, they structure a deal that gives him an opt-out after 1 year or 2 years or whatever, or he signs a 1-year deal for $35-40 million and hits a gazillion home runs in Cincinnati and then reclaims – that's funny, Clark. Clark's got St. Louis Cardinal breaking news. The Cardinals have done nothing. My friend Kevin Elliott is on record as saying that the Cardinals will not amass 90 wins this year, Clark, and I'm afraid he might be right. So Clark's saying home run is definitely a threat. Launch angle and exit velocity are king right now. I hate it, but it's true, and it's right. It's absolutely right. I do think that the home run is a threat, right? You got Lindor home run power, then McNeil or Nimmo, choose your poison, Soto, Alonso, Vientos, Alvarez, holy Hannah. I mean, every one of those guys are good for 20 to 30 home runs. Easy peasy, except for the second slot. But the way Nimmo hit last year, his power numbers increased. So can you imagine 1 through 5 hitting 20 plus home runs? That's remarkable, right? Or 1 through 6, because you got Alvarez, who's very capable of that. So I do think Alonso in that lineup is necessary to lengthen it, to make it longer. We shall see. I really don't. I just want to go to every night lately. I've been going to bed, checking my phone in the middle of the night to see if Alonso signed the dotted line with the Mets. We're going to find out, soon, I'd imagine, unless Boras convinces Pete to sit out and wait for a team that might be that one piece away and is gets off to a hot start, and they want to add Alonso to a 1-year, 2-year deal at high AAV. I just think it's a bad move on Pete to skip spring training. I think it's a bad move for Pete to move away from the New York Mets. I don't see it happening. So we're going to see. All right, we're at the 8:54 mark. Guys, give me your comments. I like to hear them. All right, this week's prayer circle. We're praying for Harold, Dawn Squared, your wife and your co-worker. Scott Tobias, we are praying for your wife and your mom. Linda Stein, we're praying for your dad, your mom, and yourself. Your mom recently was diagnosed with some COVID. Hope that she's on the mend. Mark Brooks, we are praying for your dad, yourself, sir, and the house repairs that the Brooks family could once again start new memories in the new house after you lost it due to that terrible arson fire. Kevin Elliott, we are praying for you, sir. Kraus family, we're praying for Aubrey as she remains in remission from cancer. And Darcy, hoping that foot injury is healing so you can one day join me at BLD's for some wings, Darcy. Clark, we're praying for your brother-in-law Brad and sister Trish and yourself with your hips. Deb and Lee down in Maryland, we're praying for Lee. Marianne Bello, my very good friend from Oceanside High School out in Las Vegas now, praying for her mom. Larry Levy, we're praying for your wife Frida, as she is now also in remission from the ugly C word. Big John, Smoke Therapy Lounge, we're praying for Phil's Nona, your cousin Richie, and your friend Irene. And we'd like to give a shout out for a special intention for you, John. For you, my buddy. Tom, also in the Cigar Lounge, we're praying for your friends Paul and Janet as they separately battle their cancer issues. John, my good friend John, we're praying for your father-in-law. Mike, Cigar Lounge buddy, we're praying for your dad and your brother. West Coast Dave Prince, on the new job and the relocation, my friend. West Coast packed his bags in California, moved down to the East Coast in Florida. Mr. McGowan, sir, we have your 6, my friend. Mr. McGowan, the updates are that his rehab is going well. I hope to get a more finite update on Mr. McGowan in the near future. We're also praying for all the victims, unfortunately, in the California wildfires. And, of course, we're a deep prayer for the victims and their families for this horrific D.C. helicopter plane crash about 8:37 last night. Hey, Linda, I'm sorry you just popped on. I see you. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining. I appreciate you, Lynn. So this been Angie's Angles. I'm telling you, we're 2 weeks away from my 60th trip to New Orleans. Very excited. I'm all ramped up. I'm going to be broadcasting on that Thursday night from New Orleans. I'm not sure where. I don't know a location yet. Maybe from some crypt or some gravesite or something. I don't know yet. Or maybe maybe a jazz place. We'll see. It's been Angie's Angles, come to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. As always, I owe it all to you. Thank you. Good night. God bless. I love you.